All right. So where we left off and where we got up to last week, in the aftermath of discovering that Shea Bouquet, the cheesemonger, was in fact a were rat and handily trouncing him in his warehouse, including some vicious impaling of him with his offspring and killing a whole bunch of swarm of rats and some giant rats and dealing with the mimic that latched on to Zachary's arm. You guys dealt with the aftermath of that, including raiding his private loot stash that seemed to be a store of the gear that he'd taken off individuals and groups that had not been so fortunate or skilled or lucky as you guys, and had succumbed to the ruse that he was running under the watchful eye of the AI that cost him his life when he failed against Team Chaos. So bringing all of that back, you were able to get all of those items identified with Mort and sorted and um, distributed around to various different parts of your group, and attunement was undertaken for those of those items that needed to be attuned to you through an 8-hour rest. So now freshly rested and fed, and with a very happy Care Bear Bobka, who's super stoked at the what appears to be a ability to access the cheese world and potentially even do a little bit of browsing himself with the keys that you handed him. Um, on exiting the safe room, your group came across a rather strange sight, and it was originally a sound that Alia had heard and picked up on, and possibly some smells as well. But the sound of a wild careening shopping cart with a just crazy looking lady behind the wheel of it, with it piled high with apparently all of her worldly possessions. And she was having a good old conversation to herself, muttering and murmuring and yelling, and then seeing your group stopped in her tracks and just took off down an alleyway adjacent to the safe house. While that was happening, while all of your attention was fixated onto that, uh, Fokionis felt just a really gentle touch on his arm, what felt like really soft and and thin skin, like the hands of a grandparent, and looking down, saw that there was an elderly lady who was just gently resting her hand on his arm and murmuring away to herself that she reminded him of her Barry, and that he was a my goodness, he was a big boy. And the rest of your group, your attention being drawn to this, found that the there was an elderly lady, um, apparently secured, not in prison or anything like that, but just secured for apparently her own safety into this transport cart, with the words Meadowlark down the side of it. I'll let Dante have a go at see if he's making any noise. No. Um, and on that cart was the elderly lady who's there next to Fokionis with her hands gently resting and looking tiny on his giant arm. And the rest of your group saw that this cart looked essentially like a transport from a nursing home. And at the front of it was a human male, that we'll dive into them shortly, but a human male and a giant rocky figure standing beside him that had essentially jury rigged up with rope and timber and almost Flintstone style, a set of handlebars that they were using to pull the cart, and that there were two female figures at the back of the cart, one an immaculately set out elf, and the other one a dwarf, that we'll get into very shortly. But that was where we left off with Team Chaos running into another group just outside of Mort's safe room, non-threatening. The ones at the rear look like wary and weary, and are holding their weapons, but not in a threatening way. Just they just have them on hand, maybe just in case, but they're certainly not making any threatening gestures. And there's no threatening vibes coming off that particular group. Um, So that's where we ended, and as we come in to this session, you've now also noticed that uh, Ivy is holding uh, Ratthew. He's now got his little token, and he's there with Ivy on the other side of Ivy from Alia. Um, so she still has Ratthew in her arms. He's not free reign, but he's part of the team. You guys made him an official member. So he's in there. He's in Team Chaos, and you still have the raggedy black cat that every now and then you notice that Zev left behind, that is has some connection to her, and essentially in an observatorial capacity at the moment. Every now and then you notice him, and most of the time you forget that he's even there, and he blends into the background. And it doesn't seem that most people you come across are aware of his presence. That was Grebo. So as we come in here, the group that you've encountered, there appeared to be about 12 or 13 elderly people strapped onto the secured onto. Want to get the language right because they're very well looked after and they're being cared for, but they're secured in place almost like they would be with a seatbelt or a harness, but that doesn't seem to have made the transition. So they've all kinds of different ropes and things that are keeping to a greater and lesser extent the elderly on the cart. They all seem to just sort of be semi-oblivious. None of them are really paying attention to you. Their eyes are quite vacant and a little bit spaced out, and there's like big gummy happy smiles on, as if they're on a very interesting field trip or tour. No real recognition is behind those eyes of what's happening. Um, the group that you look at, so getting into where we now currently stand, a better look at them as you take in this really strange thing that you've come across. The human male that's at the front um, looks essentially like he's stepped out of a steampunk anime. He's got a really strange look to the clothing. There's a leather apron over the front that's covered with all kinds of pockets and buckles, that has a soft, just a really soft glow to it. Nothing super bright, but it appears to have some kind of aura on it, aura to it. It's a plain white shirt underneath with a collar and sleeves um, that are turned up. There's black gloves on his hands that appear almost workmanlike. Um, Dark jeans or pants that are indistinguishable the material underneath the apron, and really thick heavy duty work boots, style boots on his feet. And the hair is black and in that classic almost like it's been gelled to within an inch of its life, and held into a swept to the right fashion. Beside him is just this giant hulking figure that, where it's standing next to him and he's holding the bar to pull this cart along, the bar is essentially resting against this other figure's thighs. It is a huge rocky humanoid. The style of it is almost like a Incan or Mayan statue. It doesn't have any super distinguishing features. It's very clearly been sculpted into a kind of a classical strong male pose, that those statues are often depicted as, and the stylized headdress on it as well, carved into the stone, and it is just standing stock still beside the human male. And then at the rear, there is a tall, willowy elf woman with blonde hair, and the most distinguishing thing you notice is there does appear to be some just really faint red smears across her face. Her eyes just have distant thousand-yard stares, and are really drained of life, and looks like she's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, and has you've all seen some shit. You've all seen the world end, and you've been through what you went through in your dungeon, but she really looks like she has had a hard time going through the ringer of her experiences. Um, and she's carrying in her right hand a giant flaming sword. Again, it's just beside her. It's very clear that it's a pretty special weapon, but it's not being threatened. You're not being threatened with it. And then on the other side of the cart, almost seem like they're a bit of a rear guard, defensive position, or just keeping an eye on the people on the cart. They're very aware of the elderly people that are there. Is a really dark skinned, swarthy dwarven woman, decked out in classic leather armor. The elven woman appears to be wearing some kind of chainmail, but it's a bit indistinguishable because there's a lot of overlap with a dark leather as well. And the dwarven woman is carrying a quite a hefty hammer. Um, and Ivy, you would notice that on that hammer, that for everybody else, it looks like it's just sort of got like dimples on the end of it, but a bit more of a keen eye. You notice from where you're standing that the hammer itself looks like it's almost got some almost like tiny skulls that are carved into or trying to escape from the metal. It's kind of an eerie end to that hammer. And all of you notice that the um, the human male that's at the front of the cart also has a quite a unique hammer. His is glowing at the end of it, and the head of the hammer seems to be separated from the handle. And it is a big weapon that is currently. Oh, I just smacked myself in the head. That is currently tucked down and holstered behind his back. So both of his hands are taken up on the cart, and the the stone monstrosity doesn't appear to have any visible weaponry. Excuse me. And where you landed was uh, the human guy had tentatively greeted um, you, like sort of looking at your party, not sure who the main person is to address, but had essentially said a polite hello, a kind of semi-exhausted hello. And is also pulled up because he had noted that the elderly woman had grabbed a hold of this giant half orc's arm and possibly stopped for safety as well. What do you guys want to do?
Don't
Yeah, actually should say hello. Or just like let them keep doing what they're doing.
Are you saying hello, or are you at the moment they've stopped? The guy has said hello, essentially an exhausted hi to your group, and a sorry about that to Fokionis. But are you saying hello to them, Zachary? You just gave me two different instructions there. Sorry, which way do you want to jump?
Yeah, I say like hello. Like whereabouts are you guys from? Are you from Earth like us or?
The sorry, finish your question. It's a fair question. It just seems so strange.
Oh, I
The
don't know.
the human guy who had initially made the greeting and the apology looks at you sort of semi strangely initially. Looks at the card of elderly, the clearly emblazoned earthen language of Meadowlark across the side of it. Is uh, hi, yeah, Brendan. Brendan's my name. This is
I'm
Chris.
Brendan.
Points back to the elven woman, Amani, and
And
then
Chris.
Yolanda,
Alright.
and the elven woman sort of gives a
Yolanda.
half wave. The stone guy called Chris, or stone object called Chris, gives no indication or response. And the dwarven woman at the back sort of gives a nod of the head to your group, and a surprisingly soft voice comes out where normally you'd expect how she looks to be quite gruff, but hi. And so Brendan, um, hey, looking at you, Zachary, and just checking to make sure everything's all right with the others. Go, yeah, humans, Earth. Yeah, we went down the portal with over 250 of these guys, and it's been a rough ride from the nursing home.
What?
Jeez.
From the nursing home? How old are you?
He's stuttering a little bit because he's looking around to see where that voice was coming from. He sort of scanned around and had kind of noted that there's one person holding a rat, and then that there seemed to be this maybe another pet or animal in the group that seems to now be a talking raccoon. So there's a little bit of a stutter there, but he catches himself. 25.
It's all
Hi.
the people he's with. Sorry, she's a raccoon. Or rabbit.
Said you
I
came
mean.
from the nursing
Yeah.
home. Of course I'm gonna ask how fucking old you are.
We managed to evacuate the home. That crazy, she's around here somewhere. There's a crazy old woman with a cart who lived in the alley behind the home.
Oh, she went that way.
Well, that's Agatha. Good luck. Don't try and use long sentences if you run into her again. Heart of gold, mind of porridge.
Why'd she run?
Yes, I don't.
Alright.
With Agatha, I don't know. She lived in the alley behind a dumpster behind the nursing home, and she actually noticed a fire in our cafeteria and set off the fire alarms. We got out with around 200 of the residents, and where we were, I don't know where you're all from, but it was in the middle of a blizzard. We got them out, and then the world went to shit, and we lost some to the cold. We rolled the carts down the portals. Yeah, it was
And you got through the.
This is what we've got left. It's been a rough time.
Jeez. So you got through the first level, and these are the. What's left?
We did our Bobka. That's a fucking weird word. Runs a Waffle House, and it's huge. So
Waffles?
most of them decided to stay there. What was that?
She's like, waffles.
Oh, excellent. I like that. So Brendan, perception is well and truly high enough to note that just quietly reaches in and just hands you this stack of waffles. Pretty clear that their babka is overcated for them. So you've got a pile of about 10 waffles. Just they've come out of the stasis, so they're dripping butter and maple syrup, and he's still not quite sure of you, but that was pretty damn cute. So he's just handed them over. So then goes on to explain that essentially where the group landed, they got into the safe room quite early in the dungeon, with that, just like cart after cart after cart. They managed to drag, especially with Chris's strength and in convoy, into the safe room by pure chance. But a lot of the residents in the care facility, a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia, and a lot of disconnect from reality, and awareness of what's going on before they entered into this psychosis of an environment. So they were quite happy to sit in the Waffle House and eat waffles, and they essentially met the end of the world when that would have disintegrated. Is his assumption, because that was what they were told was going to happen, but they didn't want to leave and they couldn't be forced. And none of the residents have chosen classes or races. Chris mentions to you, Brandon mentions to you as well. And as you're looking, you can see that a few of them every now and then are kind of doing like this movement in front of their faces that didn't really pick up on before, but what essentially they're trying to get rid of the prompts and not really understanding what's coming up in front of them.
Oh, I
They
thought they
haven't
were
made any
blind and they
selections.
had a realization they
Oh,
could see shit.
But some might be, but they're just kind of just treat this as just all this strange new excursion from from their normal routine that they may not even be remembering a lot of it for some of them. And that you've got this group of 4 people that started off with over 200, and the 4 of them that selected did the proper thing and have abilities and powers and all these different changes, and then they've got all of these people they're caring for. And then Brendan Finger says, I was a janitor at the home, just trying to care for these people. We've got a couple of nurses. He points back to the ladies at the back, and Chris worked the kitchen. Still nothing from the giant stone giant.
I feel like we should leave his spare people as Mort. Come in quite handy.
Spare people with Mort.
so they have their own.
But a chef and some nurses would be right.
Yeah, like, I mean, we could bring them with us, or could go. No, it'd separate us in the dungeons, won't it? Anyway.
Are you asking me or them?
I'm talking to myself. Sorry.
Do you want to hit any of? Did you say any of your stuff out loud earlier?
Yep.
All right. So Brendan, looking at you with your mouthfuls of waffles, as you're talking around that, actually reaches out a hand, like and a hand down, leaning over to you, getting out of the harness so that he can move over, because he's over near Poccionus with the trolley at the moment, so he's got to go around 15-20 feet to get to you. So he just very carefully approaches, because I mean, you guys are a scary fucking looking group, by the way. A group of 4 people who are looking after a group of 13 elderly people who have made no advancements into this world, so are completely largely dependent on them. And he goes and, if I may, reaches out to shake your hand. Now, this may answer some of your questions.
Is he coming to me?
Yep. You're the one who.
Oh, cool.
Who
I'm gonna lick the
potential...
syrup off his hand.
Kind of shudders slightly and pulls the hand back and looks at you again, and looks back at you, Zach, and go, maybe we could try this. I may not have communicated.
Hey, that was a friendly lick. I'm a raccoon, and I don't know you, and I just licked your fucking hand.
I appreciate it, and he's a little bit bewildered by you, but he's genuinely seems to be reaching out to share something here. And that the handshake appeared to be part of that. There was no.
I don't understand handshakes. I'm a raccoon.
That's perfect, and hence why he's going back over to Zachary now. So he wipes that hand off before offering it. Raccoon spit and invisible maple syrup. May I?
Yeah.
All right. So when you
just made that even more awkward.
When you shake hands,
just lick his hand. Okay.
You're a strange fucking group. He doesn't let go, even though you're shaking his hand and licking his thumb. He's clearly got something he wants to get across to you here. So when you shake hands, Zachary, you have a prompt appear. First of these that you've received in quite some time, but it's asking you, essentially saying, friend request, Team Meadowlark, yes, no.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you've selected yes, which has now enabled. Yeah, so your 2 groups are now friends. You don't really have a frame of reference on that, but Brendan then goes on to explain. Go, thank you, and explains to you. Let's go. Doesn't keep up the awkward handshake and seems to just be working through the licking greeting that your group has now adopted by 2 members, and explains to you that his Bobka had told them that if they do that greeting and accept those prompts, um, it would essentially enable each groups in a friendship up to a certain number. He's not sure what the exact details are, but when heading into the next level of the world between, there'll be an ability to invite each other into your safe rooms.
Ooh.
Oh,
So, should you meet up again and wish to share space with each other, you now have the ability to invite. Should you see them or work out anything with them, you can now invite any or all of the members of Team Meadowlark, he thinks, into your safe room, and they can do the same for theirs. So you have that connection made with the group. Limited functionality as best any of you. You don't have any further prompts. You didn't get any of that information. Maud hadn't mentioned it to you, but Brennan has shared that
damn
with
it,
you and
Mort.
is appreciative. So you've now got a
Awesome.
they're taking a chance on you, and you're taking a chance on them. And Ivy, you certainly pick up that this group is really nervous of your team, but they appear genuine.
We
The
don't
rest of
have a
you,
flaming sword, though.
you no,
If you don't
don't.
offer them to pet the rat and ease their nerves, I'm gonna be devastated.
As he's walking back from the hand lickings and greetings, he has to pass by
Worth it.
Ivy, and I mean, Ratthew is definitely an attention grabber. This giant rat stands out, cuddled into Ivy's neck still from all of the goodwill that was built between them and his cleanup last time we got together. But it's still a strange sight. So it definitely does catch Brendan's eye. But he also pauses, and he appears to be looking past the rat and looking at you, Ivy. As if I'm not mistaken, you're a cleric as well.
Yes, I am.
That we don't see. I don't know how many people you've spoken with, but you're the first group I've seen with another cleric. Not that we've spoken to many. There's some scary people in this world, and these guys, pointing to the elderly, seem to attract the worst of them.
Oh.
I chose a cleric class as well. Wanted to heal. I'm very glad we did, but it sometimes feels not enough. And you can sort of see that there's definitely been some shit going on for this group. Like they are weary, not just in a physical sense, but there has been some real mental anguish that they've been through up until this point. And especially, as I mentioned, that Ivy, you picked up on Amani at the back, has suffered it worse than anyone. And Brendan's still there with Ivy. Can you tell me how the god stuff works? I got some random assignment because I back in our world, I was an atheist. I had no religious connection, so they've stuck me with this something called a luxon, and he points to the bottom of the hammer, and there's this hanging off the base of it is a essentially what looks like a hollow 12-sided dice, a dodecahedron. So they gave me this for if I want to do anything clericy, but I got no idea what the god stuff is. Do you know?
I'm not too certain either, and she'll pull out her little necklace. I got a cool looking unicorn though, so I mean, I think it might have something to do with the kind of person we are, maybe. I honestly wouldn't know.
If we happen to meet again, or with our shared spaces, if you choose to keep that connection, maybe we can swap notes. He appears
Thank you
quite
very
hesitant and
much.
hopeful.
It's always good to know what we're dealing with. I'd gladly do that sometime.
Thank you. Thank you. And for the rest of your group, that's your first time that any of you have actually really noticed Ivy's holy symbol. She's used it on multiple occasions, and it's been something she's needed to grab onto for such a darling. His working is not in chat. That it's that this absolutely gorgeous unicorn pendant about the size of a palm, and it has just a really bright gemstone of some kind where the eye of the unicorn would be hanging around a silvery kind of chain around her neck. So where you may have noticed, some of you, all your perception's terribly high, so maybe not, that she would often, when the times that she has healed or hasn't healed, because Zach could handle those rats, he didn't need any help, but when she has done any of those cleric things, especially the shooting gold beams of light into rats and were rats, that she does habitually clasp that to activate those spells. So for Brendan, it appears to be connected to that rather spectacular hammer that he has with his symbol at this point on the base of it. So Focky, Dante, you're going to be so upset with this. And as he's coming back, and Brendan is just he's looking each of you over and kind of giving a little wave, and he offers his hand to shake hands to you, Ivy, before heading back, like just that human greeting. Now that he's done it with Zach, he does appear to be a little bit hesitant offering his hand, but he does reach out to shake your hand.
Of course I'm going to shake his hand. Politeness is important when interacting with other groups that may or may not have big hammers that can kill you.
He takes your hand, he shakes it, just a nice brief polite handshake, and he appears to be, you especially pick up on this, Ivy, somewhat relieved that you didn't lick his hand, and that
Looking at that,
not
can
to
I
be
grab his hand and lick it? Is that an option?
He's only just let go of your hand, so yep.
I won't actually do that. There's got to be someone normal to deal with this group.
He's relieved with that, so he's now introduced himself, and he's gotten Zachary, Alia, Ivy, and then he reaches out to shake Fockionus's hand. So while Dante types his message, I'm going to make the assumption that he will shake Brendan's hand, but what I want to know is whether he licks it or not. So Dante, I need to know I'm going to shake this guy's hand.
Do it. Lick it.
Lick it. All right. So those who can't see that, so Fockionus just gives a slight grin and nods at Brandon, reaches out, takes his hand, shrugs those giant green muscular shoulders, winks. His attempt is to wink surreptitiously at Alia, but that is not Fockionus's strong suit. So you get this kind of half squinted wink of Popeye proportions at Alia, and then he just ever so gently, maintaining eye contact with Brendan the whole time, licks his hand before letting it go.
Yes.
So strangely enough, no one else from that party is moving forward to shake hands with Team Chaos. As he's reached out to shake Brandon's hand, the soft little frail hands that the lady that we're holding on to, Fockionus, kind of slip off his arm, and Brendan goes, "Oh, look, please don't mind Elle. She's a real dear, but she doesn't really know where she is or even what year she's living in." To Fockionus, and as if to highlight that or back up that fact, as soon as Fockionus's hand has come back down, the hand that she had her arm, and she's this time, instead of the hand, she's wrapping it into this as tight as she can kind of grip it, because she is a very frail old woman. She's, as we described before, she's almost like that classical librarian look, like the knitted sweater that's a bit old and worn, and the red knitted cardi, and then the plain colored shirt underneath, a skirt that is seen far too much wear, some comfortable shoes, very thick, almost like Coke bottle thick glasses. And so she grabs a firm hold of that arm and goes, "Oh, this reminds me of the carnival back in my time. My Barry and I, we used to always go to the carnival. We'd eaten the cotton candy and we'd throw darts at the balloons." And she's closing her eyes and sort of telling this story and sort of murmuring to herself, hugging Phocyonis's arm. And then we'd go into the tunnel of love. But back then it was a boat in the tunnel, and I'd let my Barry touch my boobs, but only on the outside of my sweater. I'm no hussy. And she smacks Phocyonis on the forearm with like as much strength as she can muster. And as she does it, she's just holding onto his arm, and her eyes have got through those glasses this far off dreamy stare. Like his forearm is bigger essentially than her head. She is a tiny little shrunken old lady who's just for whatever reason gravitated towards Phocyonis and led to this whole connection. And as she's sort of tilting her head there and looking across with her hand on Phocyonis's arm, she makes, as best you can figure it, Alia, eye contact, because you can't really tell through those watery, roomy eyes and the thick glasses. But she's looking at you and she, "Oh, look at your puppy. Isn't she adorable? Hello, little puppy." And she sort of seems to be gesturing you over, like, come here. I think I've got something for you." What do you do, Alia?
Oh, I'm going over there.
So as she sees you coming over, like, "Oh, good girl, you wait." And so she just starts pulling stuff out of her pockets, like the grandma pockets. And there's a set of dentures in there. There's some what looks like maybe caramel chewy lollies. There's definitely some unwrapped lint covered Werther's original hard caramels. There's some minty wrappers. And she's just like got a grin on her face, and she's holding this out to you. What do you do?
I'm gonna take it.
And as you take this collection of her stuff, the hand that you took it out of, she just gently reaches up and she strokes you behind the ears and scruffs you around the collar of your arm. And, "Oh, you're a good girl," and then just sort of drifts back off to on Phocyonis and is every now and then sort of gently, just doing that swipe at the unseen prompts that are clearly annoying and getting in the way every now and then. Now, as all of this is happening, in the sky overhead, Ivy, you are the first to notice this, and then the rest of you seeing her look up. Actually, I'll tell you what you see, Ivy, and let you respond your own way. So, a giant screen, essentially the sky, which was currently bright light. It was daytime. Has a shadowy hue go over it, and just writing starts appearing on it. And that writing contains several counters, and these are giant. Like this is there's no fanfare, there's no noise. There's just a light to semi darkness in the sky. The lighting in the world between stays consistent. You haven't been plunged into darkness or anything like that. But the first message that ticker tapes across is all surviving crawlers have now exited Dungeon 1. That is the first thing that you have seen. Ivy, you are the only one who has caught this at the moment. How do you react?
Probably pointed out at the very least to Zach. The others seem occupied with pets and old stories, so.
All right, and so Zach, you've had Ivy kind of get your attention, maybe grab the sleeve of your tuxedo and drawing your attention upwards. And as you've now gotten Zach, between you getting Zach and the two of you now looking up and stopping what you're doing, the next line of text has already appeared, and the third line is coming through. And it's a countdown to the premiere of the fall season Earth. Actually, so the first one was all surviving crawlers have now exited Dungeon 1. You've got Zach's attention. Countdown to the premiere of the fall season Earth. 1 hour, 00 minutes. And as you're looking at that, it's ticking down the seconds. So that count is going. Zachary, you've just looked up to see that. Any response? We lost Zach.
He's muted.
Can't hear you, buddy.
Oh no!
You fucky honest it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like it's starting. I don't know what do you do in this
Yep.
situation?
So the rest of the group now had their attention taken away from the various different experiences they were undertaking, and all heads start looking up, with the exception of Ratthew, who just is snuggled into Ivy at this point, oblivious to everything, asleep. And so the lines just keep on, the text just keeps on appearing, filling the entirety of your sky. Time until Dungeon 2 portals open, 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 0 seconds. Time to level collapse, 12 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Remaining crawlers, 1,033,992 out of 4,322,395.
Jesus Christ.
And the few shops and stores available to you in the world between will be open from now until the level collapses. Happy crawling. And the happy crawling is accompanied with a smiley face emoji, and it's just blinking in the sky. What would you like to do? The timer is now ticking. 1 hour until something called an episode airs, and an hour and a half until the Dungeon 2 opens.
I guess you should get ready for the next level.
Do you think we could even be ready?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to the cheese shop.
As you guys start your
Yeah, new
conversation,
cheese.
Brendan has got back into the cart and said, "I'm really sorry. We've got so much to do to get these guys ready and figure out how we're going to get them through the next one. Great meeting you. Sorry about the circumstances. I hope we can catch you at the next after level 2. Good luck."
Yeah.
And saying all this as they're moving, and strangely, they're moving into what for you looks like Mort's safe house, but they enter safe room. They enter straight through, and you get this kind of glimpse because there's so many of them going in, especially as the cart exits through, and Ella's had to gently disengage from Fokionus's arm. You catch the insides of what looks like an absolute giant space, and there's as they meant, there's a big Waffle House menu on the back wall, but you only catch the briefest glimpse of it. So it appears that your instance of the safe house, the same entrance is shared, but at this stage at least, into separate locations, and they're gone.
Oh.
The Team Chaos is alone in the square at the moment. No one else has appeared in your current space.
Oh. So you wanted to get cheese again?
Yeah, well, I told Mort I'll go have a look at some cheese for him.
All right. Can we even get cheese since it's owned by the shop, and if the owner's gone, we can't take it?
I mean,
got
if
the
the
cake.
owner's gone, there's no one to stop us from taking it.
Yeah, what she
You never
said.
know. Maybe they've already gotten a new one in there. I don't know how quick they can re-find a cheesemonger.
I don't know, maybe Mort's already gone there. Oh, we're talking to those guys.
Sneaky step, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we got 90 minutes. Let's
Hey, what
go.
else are we gonna do?
Heaps of time.
All right. So is that everybody? Everybody's heading over to
Well, that's where me and Flocky Ernest were going, and everyone else just followed.
Yeah.
So
All right. So I'm just going to put you guys down off to the side just for ease of movement. We know your destination is actually. I'll bring you down below it. Your destination is Cheese World. So as you get there, Cheese World looks the shop front looks a little bit different. And there's a big banner hanging over the front, including where you know there is a door behind it. You know it's there because you saw Shay locking up before heading to the warehouse. So it just says new management coming soon. It doesn't have, you don't see any barriers or anything like that. Just this big sign has been dropped, unfurled over the top.
oh well.
It's like a
Bad, so
canvas.
sad.
It's like a canvas advertising banner that's hanging down, like flapping in the breeze.
Oh well.
Too bad, so sad.
Yeah, he's gonna break the news to more. No, he'll be fine, I think.
What?
Do we do we want anything else from Mish then? Or
Nah, I'm good.
not? Alright, let's like spend our money. Didn't you want a magic bow or something?
Can I get
How much money did you have? Did we have?
Alia?
Well, everyone stole my money, but anyway,
Alia,
I'm joking. Yes.
Oh yeah,
can
we
you
didn't get.
just do a perception roll for me? You and Zachary, actually, both of you.
Uh-oh.
Perception.
Mhm.
Fucking Jesus. Well, we always know my first roll of the night is really bad because I like to sniff holes. 7. Almost thought that was a 1 for a minute there. I was like, yes, I can re-roll, but no. It was a 7.
Zachary?
17.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
So Alia, you've rolled up and seen this canvas sign flapping and go, okay. No worries, chop shop, we can't get in. Zachary, just
I have
peering a bit
keys.
closer at the canvas, you see that it's not secured at the bottom, so it's sort of flapping and waving around, and you just lift up the bottom and you can see that everything about the shop is still there behind it, including the doorway. The shop hasn't disappeared. It just has a sign hung out the front. But only you have noticed that. Ali is kind of like, oh, okay. She's kicking rocks and sniffing the holes.
Alia, there's still a shop here behind the canvas. Like lift it up to show it. It's not even secured at the bottom.
Open the door. Go on.
Try opening the door.
It's locked. You rattle it, it's locked. As you saw, and you remember, you saw Shay lock it as you left for the warehouse.
Oh yeah.
Well, considering how stupid I am right now, you're gonna have to remind me I have keys.
If only we had a key or something.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. Man. If only Shay was carrying like keys on him when he died.
Did anybody grab them when he died?
Grab his keys. I can't remember who it was.
Well, fuck, aren't we dumb?
Oh my god.
Just Spar's face. He's so frustrated.
Can I get both of you to roll an intelligence
dumb!
check? Yeah, I'm gonna get both of you to roll an intelligence check as you're talking about trying to figure out where who might have these keys. Oh my god.
9.
I got 16.
Oh, Alia with that. Zach, you're bewildered, like, there were definitely keys. There were keys. They were on a key ring. Like, chain. And Murray is looking around at your feet, wondering if did you drop the keys? Ali, with a flash of inspiration as the sugar rush hits you of licking the maple syrup off your paws, you remember that you handed the key ring. You did get a key ring off Shay, and you gave it to Mort. But you did keep a single key that was the one you used to get into Shay's secret stash, his back room.
Oh, let's see if this one works.
Yep. So on tippy toes, you put that big ornate key, which sort of almost fits in the lock. You force it and you make it go, but it doesn't turn. And having just a little bit of a closer look, you've put the key does not look like it is the right one for that type of lock that is on the door.
Uh-huh.
But with a little bit of jiggling, hang on, sorry. Yeah, a little bit of jiggling, you realize that it started to feel like it was a little bit of give, but it's not the right fit.
Well, if we want cheese, we better go back and see Mort.
So
So,
Ivy, what are you doing while all this is going on?
all right.
Ali, are you
Look.
taking? And sorry, Ali, are you taking the key out of the door?
Yeah, I ain't leaving that shit behind.
It comes out a little bit. It was a little bit stuck because you forced it quite a bit, but it comes free easily enough. And you guys are heading back to Mort's, Ivy?
Look, at this point, we've just seen new people. We've got a whole bunch of grandmas just running around out there somewhere. I probably just went back to Mort. He seems like a safe, somehow normal thing at this point.
We're normal.
So abandoning and just unable to deal with the bullshit of Zachary and Alia as they fart assed around at the cheese shop. You and Ratticus headed back. They didn't even notice. They're too busy focusing on looking for lost keys that they didn't even have. You've headed back to the safe room. As you're heading back there, and we'll get to Poccionus. If you can just have a think of, Dante, what you would like to do as much as you can with Poccionus. Otherwise, I'll make some decisions for him. So you've headed off separate to the other two. And can I just get you to please make a perception roll for me?
Of course you can.
Thank you.
Actually, you know what? No, you can't.
Use your dice. Feel free. You don't need to use the inbuilt ones.
What was it again? Perception?
Perception. Just as you're walking back, like you're paying attention because you know that there are some
17.
17.
Yeah, from a 12.
So you feel in the hand that's not currently holding Ratthew, so you've got him in one arm snuggled into your neck, and the other arm is so just loosely hung by your side, but also obviously your weapons are in easy grip if you do happen to come across something alarming. You feel in that hand that's free just the briefest moment of pressure and what feels like but maybe a piece of paper or cloth or parchment. It's not very big, so you don't get a great sense of it. And your head snaps around as you feel that pressure in your hand, with your hand being closed around it so it doesn't drop. And you think you see something, maybe something green disappearing around the corner of a building to the north, but you're not sure. You do know that you can feel something in your hand.
Guess gotta check it out. What's in the hand is a mystery.
All right. So as you open up that note one-handed, it's very small and it's written in the handwriting. Now you're getting a little bit familiar with because it was one of the sets of handwriting that was on the big whiteboards mounted in your bathroom, and it reads, "Please look for signs of my twin and keep a lookout for anything that looks like it might come from a music box. Please." and then signed Mish. And Mish has where you can use like a greater than, less than symbol and a number 3 to make a little love heart emoji before we had emoji. So when we had emoticons and had to do them with text, she has actually written a capital M and then done the pointy bracket going down to make a little heart next to her name. Under the M of her name. So you've got a Mish with a little love heart M. With that very brief note, because it was very tiny, and in her gentle hand, and she's deliberately sought you out with it as you're walking along.
Ooh, secret love letters.
Yeah, but I just got a date with that other cool cleric. Oh no. Find out next week who she's going to go with. No.
Speed dating 101.
Well,
you
world's
could
going to shit. Time to get with everyone.
Wow, that
That's a
took a
massive
turn
hit.
that I did not see coming.
You should have.
You do remember that Mish did sign her name the same way in the bathroom, but she's definitely singled you out with that
No,
note.
I
seeking
am
your
not
assistance.
aware of that because I never went
Not
in the
you.
bathroom.
You're not with her, so that's
Can't
just
read
Ivy,
anyway.
who is aware. Who is aware of that?
Fuck you.
So Ivy, with that in your hand, you're continuing on to Mort's.
Yes, I will.
Yep. Okay. So you make it back there, thinking, reading the note over a couple more times just to make sure you've got the details of. It's a bit puzzled as to what it all means, and
Do I hear a clicking, Dante?
what's going on with
Yes.
Hey.
Oh,
Yeah,
Elle
but look what
misses
I've had
you.
to refer to. It's like,
Oh
fuck.
no, sorry, dude.
No,
It
it's
is
okay.
nice to hear your voice, though.
So
You
many
head
things
back.
I want to say. I can't type that fast. So many
Yeah,
so
got
many
it.
things.
I understand. So you make it back to Mort's without issue and head in, thinking about many things going through your mind as you head in and see Mort, who has now cleared off the space and is all business, getting ready for what must come next for him. So there is a small tray of the ubiquitous burgers on the table, and he is cleaning surfaces and locking things down and taking an inventory. And he's very busy, but he's obviously will be attentive to you. But he's all business. Definitely acknowledges you as you come in. The other two of you enter not too long behind to find Ivy in there already with Ratthew, not even having seen her leave. And you also note that that Mort is busily prepping. Obviously, he's been made aware of the details you've seen in the sky. You're in there now.
I'm just going to sit down and get fat.
All right. Alia, seemingly completely forgetting why she even came back, spots the burgers and just sits down happily chomping them, washing them down with mouthfuls of old
Milk.
lady pocket lint and milk and waffles. Zachary.
Fock, did you want to warm up before we go in?
Hang on, Poccianus, did you go with them? Sorry, did you?
Oh, are you?
Yes,
We
he
haven't
was.
had you here to
He
ask.
originally went with
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you're back at the
me.
Oh, actually, well, you can stay at the shop and do your own thing at the
No,
shop if
I'm
you want.
warming up now as we speak. Ready to go. Put me in, coach.
All right.
I totally know where I am. Absolutely. I'll probably default to normally following Alia anyway, just because that seems to be where the most mischief / fun ends up happening.
You saying Ivy's not fun?
Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But I feel like next episode, Ivy's going to lift the fun / hijinks game, and then it's going to be on, because then there'll be like this jealousy foe roundabout thing going on between former like owner and pet, but then now the dynamics changed, and there's our intergalactic TV dating show right there.
Ivy already seems to be under the impression that everyone's looking to date her without seeking any evidence of confirmation. It's great. So Ali is eating. Zach's had a chat to Poccionus, who's now pulling up his fingers.
Oh, we're like sparring. Fine. Never mind.
Sure. Yeah, you're now sparring in the corner side of the room where tables and chairs have been neatly packed away as much as they can, with a huge sword
Something
and a
hits
rapier.
me, you're all dead.
Ali protectively looking after the burgers. Ivy, you did come in before all of these guys. Did you have anything you wanted to accomplish? I should have gone to you first. I'm sorry. Before the rest of them rolled in.
Probably just checking if Mort needs any help taking inventory, purely because that's one, a thing I can do, and two, a way to distract myself without drinking.
Mort looks up distractedly, taking in your offer. He pulls out from under the counter 2 trays. One has just an assortment of drinks and bottles and mixers, and it's a big, like, bar-sized carry a shitload of drinks tray, a silver one, and then another one that is a platter of some more of those cheese and crackers that Poccionus was hooking into that led to his bathroom emergency, and
Lactose
just ask you
intolerant.
if you can pass those around, deal with keeping people fed and watered, but that he had to take care of the stock take and the inventory, but he very much appreciated you could tell that from his body language, you in particular, Ivy, that he appreciated you making that offer. So they're on the counter. You currently got Ratthew in one hand.
I mean, Ratthew's not that big. I feel like he could fit on my shoulder, maybe. Like, I've had cats on my shoulder. I feel like Ratthew could be on my shoulder.
Ratthew, would you be confident that you could get Alia on your shoulders? Because he's a little bit smaller than her.
Definitely. I could have one on each shoulder.
I'm going to let you have a carryover before the rest of them get here, with how good your animal handling stuff was last time around. That because he's so sleepy, you can bring him up to essentially be like a rat scarf around your neck. So you've now got 2 hands free and a rat comfortably sleeping inside the hood of your cloak and around your neck. While Bocchio, and then with that in place, you've got those food and drink trays in front of you, and the rest of them come in where Alia just ignores you and gets straight to the food, and the gentlemen, one of a better term, start dancing around each other with their blades drawn in the cleared section of the room.
How far away are these gentlemen fighting?
It's a pretty big space, so they are from where you are at the counter and where Alia is with the food. They are about 20 feet away of space that Mort has cleared. There's still things around them, but they're about 20 feet away from you.
The closest table they have to them, I will take some of the food and drink and try to kind of like take some of the burgers and Alia as well over in that direction. If possible. Right. I don't know how easily it is to tear away Alia from this kind of food.
We're about to find out.
I ain't moving, I'm comfy.
So Alia is currently ingrained into the booth that she's at, burger in each hand. So as you go over, she puts one paw, like back foot paw, on the tray, but it's not a real strong position. So what I would like you both to do, please, is
fight over tray food.
Can you both do me a strength roll?
Hell yeah.
Oh no!
Roll.
Big O knows.
Surely Alia gets like a food bonus, like because when she's scrapping for food, she goes into rage.
I'm so annoyed.
All right, what did you get? And you add your a 7, and
A 17.
a 17.
Don't
and
give me a
Alia?
7. I don't need it worse.
I got a 4.
Oh, no. And so adept at dealing with your obsession over food, even with like, tray of drinks in one hand and then food stacked on top of the drinks, precariously positioned, then with her spare hand whipping the burgers out from under your foot. Long practice at handling your obsessions with food. Ivy grabs one more burger, throws it in your direction. That's just enough of a distraction as you catch it in your mouth for your foot to lift slightly. She whips the tray out and walks over to the table next to Zachary and Fokionis, who are now both working up quite a sweat, dancing around, pretending to know what they're doing with their weapons.
It's alright, I got a stash of 10 in my bag anyway.
No, come on. It's better nice warm food over this way.
As you are dealing with all of that, you notice behind the Fokionis and Zachary, boys for want of a better term with the way they're currently carrying on, that there is a screen, and it's a screen that was that has been previously either blank or showing like a menu of burgers and more burgers, with the vegetarian option, the Impossible Burger, is displaying that same information that was on the screen outside. So with all of you back and forthing, and the investigation that Alia and Zachary have taken to finally find that the cheese world has under new management, and they've seemed to have completely forgotten their original plan coming back to the safe room. That timer is now down to 5 minutes. So that the first timer that is counting down the premiere of the fall season Earth. And the countdown to the dungeon opening is now at 35 minutes.
Cool.
And Ivy, I will say for you as well, with your perception, you did also notice when you were collecting the items off the tray for Mort that behind the counter and behind one of those opaque barriers in a cabinet, Mort had a neat pile of items that appeared to be the clothing and manacles and custom order that Rick had made. And there is a little folded sign that sits on top of it, property of Rick. So his items have been delivered by Mish, but at the moment you're the only one who's noticed that by actually going and interacting with Mort the way you did. Just waiting to see if anyone was. I was giving the space to breathe if anyone was going to do anything. So that timer is rapidly ticking down. At the moment, you're the only one who's noticed it. Ivy, do you bring it to anyone else's attention?
I mean, I probably should, but it'll be one of those like offhanded, like, why haven't you guys noticed yet comments? Like, as she's drinking.
Oh no, the distraction has failed. Ivy's now in her cups. All right.
She's just thinking about what happened last time she was in the dungeon and the blood and the
One time.
and
Right now, Ivy, you just picked up, not knowing what was on that tray. You've just chosen at random from the glasses that are there, and there's quite a few. So can I get you to roll a 10-sided die, just a D10 for me, and tell me what number you roll?
It was D10, wasn't it?
Don't wait them.
A 4.
All right, 4. So you felt pretty safe with the drink you chose because it looked like a classical margarita. It didn't have any weird, strange colors or fumes coming off it. And you're learning from some of the experiences of others who seem to struggle a bit with some of the liquors that Mort poured. You've taken your first sip, classical margarita taste, a little bit of salt around the rim. Don't know whether you're a margarita drinker or not, so that'll be up to you how you respond to that. But you're now getting into that margarita at quite a rapid pace as you are dealing with your anxiety and the lack of normal service animal and a sleepy rat around your neck. You're currently margaritaing, watching the timer tick down.
Big size is the gentleman spa.
Yep. So as you're watching all of that, and just mulling over, adding to your anxiety that number and realization that over 3.3 million people who descended into the dungeons did not make it out of them. The screen is filled with one single timer that starts counting down from 10. And where it was silent before, there's a blaring fanfare that comes out, and it doesn't just seem to fill the room when that counter hits 0. It seems to fill the entire space inside and out. So it's blaring outside, it's inside. There is nowhere to avoid knowing that this episode 1 is starting, and you get this introduction cutscene where there's all these stylized graphics of the fall season Earth, and some previous footage is rapidly flickering through of previous falls, and you see everything from fantasy environments to wastelands to futuristic cyberpunk settings, and it appears that there's been a whole range of different themes to the fall, like Mord had mentioned, depending on which organization runs it, is thematically how the dungeons are set up. And you're all drawn into the footage that comes on the screen, and quite quickly you zone out the voice, which is just this really annoying high-pitched announcer that you can't see, that is talking especially about a whole lot of things that you particularly don't want to hear too much about, of the destruction of your planet, and narrating the way that it's been plunged back into the dark ages on the surface, and people are struggling to deal with what's left and what's left behind, and make the best of those situations. And you're also mesmerized by the footage because you're all looking for someone or something that you've left behind, to a greater or lesser extent, a greater or lesser relationship. It's a small, slim chance. It's an entire planet that has been impacted, but this is all you've got. I don't know what's happening in the background as I'm reading. Oh, there's a countdown timer. The real time does not match game time, smartass. And you're also doubly keen to zone out that voice because it's that same pompous, annoying voice you hear when the boss battles kick up, and it's not a pleasant thing and not a pleasant memory. And what you're seeing on the surface is everything from inspirational to horrifying. You're seeing looting, you're seeing crime, but you're also seeing people who are stepping up and looking after others. And it appears that quite a few people have been helping each other, especially with injured parents, to move slowly and steadily, and also ingeniously at different points where you see some moving trucks with that have managed to survive, that have got moving utes, I should say, that have got open trays and no roofs, with stacks of surviving children in stasis in them, and little, like the trolleys you use to move fridges have been used to overcome the weight that Rick's wife experienced when she was trying to move their children to safety. So you're seeing that whole spectrum of the human experience on the outside world, and feeling a bit powerless to do anything about it. But sadly, none of you see anyone that you left behind in that footage, in those flickering rapid images that covered the entire globe. The final image that it shows is a pan out to the fall, from seeing buildings collapse and cars and structures just disappear, to an overarching view of the planet, so like an aerial satellite view, or an International Space Station view. And it goes over to the dark side of the planet, where night had fallen when the fall occurred. And just in that blink of an eye, you see all of the lights go out off the entire hemisphere that was dark. They're just gone. There's no blinking, and it's a really jarring, confronting sight, where you're used to seeing that footage, and you see when the aerial view of Earth and those big population centers, and they're all lit up, and they just disappear. And from there, the show just keeps on going. The horror unfolds through dungeon after dungeon, slaughter after slaughter, with a few victories that you see, but they're certainly not the focus of the episode, as the voice just continues to drone. You do catch a very brief glimpse of Shay with a glowing arrow full of rats in his guts. But for some reason, the angle that was chosen doesn't really show your group visible in the shot. It shows him and it shows the arrow and it shows the rats, but Team Chaos is not in there. Your faces, or no part of you appears in the footage, whereas with a lot of the other groups, you're seeing them highlighted for better or worse. And the group name is presented with the footage, but for whatever reason, that is not done for you.
What?
You see a rather. It's like
They're
feel free to react to
scared.
that.
They're
I want
scared
a
of us.
refund.
It's a conspiracy, bro.
Nah,
Mm.
take me back to the surface. Quit.
Lily, I think we're looking at you doing art, so I'm going to have to flick up because that's very distracting, especially if you are doing art. I'm going to want to watch it.
That's my fault.
You do see one group in particular that the camera does hang on, and they are a terrifying assortment of individuals, all male, in what appears to be orange prison overalls, descending into a portal.
Oh,
And
God.
then it's like the footage winds back, and it looks like that portal has opened into the middle of a prison exercise yard, and you see as it winds back that footage, that editing effect of things happening in reverse, that as the collapse happens and the prison is just disintegrated, some of the prisoners in that yard some of them have makeshift weapons on them already. Others pick up weight equipment, bars, physical weights in some cases of the bigger guys, the actual weight benches, stones, rocks, and just there is just a bloody free for all. No context. You don't know what led to that, but that is certainly a terrifying group that has entered that portal, just leaving a courtyard littered with bodies and gore, staining the dirt. You see another group as this show rolls on and building in tempo that appears to be, just from the scenery and what you're aware of, somewhere in Africa, is what the landscape looks like. And that group appears to be, they enter the portal in a convoy of jeeps, like just one after the other. The portal is big enough for them to just drive straight into it. Some of those jeeps have like big, massive 50 caliber machine guns bolted to the tray with bandoliers of ammunition coming out of them. The people themselves are heavily laden with guns, grenades, ammunition, all kinds of assorted weaponry. You think you spot a rocket launcher, but it's hard to tell with the way the footage is rapidly moving. And then you cut to that group, or what's left of it, fighting just an immense creature. And it looks like it's all tentacles with a soft center mass. There's no head or body clearly visible. It looks like it's taken up residence in what appears to be an underground shopping mall, is the dungeon that they're traversing. And it is laying waste to that group, who appear to have working firearms and weaponry. But it is just smashing them, and the bodies and the equipment and the jeeps and the everything that they've got in with them that gets hit by those tentacles is just smashed through windows and down hallways with no one emerging from them. Nor does the group seem particularly interested in caring for one another. If someone falls, they're left. And then out of nowhere, a seemingly impossible situation, a small group of those survivors coordinate their fire from one side of the mall. So there is just this flash of gunfire and the impact of the rounds hitting the giant monstrosity. It doesn't seem to be harming it too much, but it definitely gets its attention, and it whips around. You can see that even though there's no face, the tentacles and what appears to be its body are facing the direction of the fire, and it just starts hurling these giant chunks of concrete and shop counters and anything that it can lash onto, whipping it towards the firing group. And out of the other end of the mall, screaming wildly and just careening around the rubble, is a single figure in just an empty stripped down Jeep. And it just goes straight into the mouth of that creature that opens up as it got close enough, with just infinite rows of teeth, it appears. And the way the Jeep is swallowed, it looks like it was probably capable of swallowing a school bus. It was a massive gaping maw that it just sailed into. And there's a brief pause, and it looks like everything's hopeless and you're going to see the slaughter, and you just see an eruption and colors and bulges starting to come from inside that creature, and then it just explodes, taking the top of the section of the mall that it's in off, and the footage cuts before you see what happened or whether there are any survivors. And finally, as the show is building into a crescendo, you actually see some familiar faces. You see a familiar group that you've encountered just over an hour ago. It's a much larger group than it was when you saw them. There's Chris and Brandon and Amani and Yolanda in the same sort of formation as you saw them in before, but except this time they're dragging just a string of these carts that are tied together through into the dungeon that they've entered. There certainly seems to be more to that group. And you see just like this very brief little montage, and then there's this happy, very rare moment of happiness where you see a huge group of elderly residents that are no longer in those carts, and they're in a waffle house, and there's drinks flowing, and they're eating waffles, and even if they don't seem fully cognizant, they're happy. And then it cuts back to what is now a much smaller group with two to three carriages on the cart, and one old codger who doesn't look familiar gets off the cart and heads over towards just absolutely walking around poking at things, and he just walks over to this timber door that's in a hallway that the group is carefully traversing, and as soon as he opens it, and it opens, there's just a wall of fire comes out and engulfs him, and he's gone. And emerging from that doorway behind the gout of flame and pushing to burst more than just its head out of the doorway is just this head of a gigantic red dragon, something fresh out of like cinema. There's flames dripping from its fangs. It's roaring and thrashing, trying to force its way out of the door that was just opened and incinerated the resident. Thankfully, no one was behind him as you're watching the footage. And you see the Meadowlark team just sprint away from that dragon. They've grabbed a hold. The ladies at the back are pushing. The guys at the front are sprinting and straining to move the cart away from the dragon as it's got its head and its neck out, and it's thrashing to get free of the doorway. It's bursting through the stone and rock. As it's struggling, it's just shooting gouts of flame all around it. Doesn't seem to really be care. It's not targeting. It's just raging and thrashing. And some of that fire is going down and around the hallway that the Meadowlark team are attempting to escape down, presumably trying to get back to the safe room or just maybe just get away. And behind the cartfall, between them and the dragon, a huge rockfall happens. The dragon is cut out from view as the camera shifts to the Meadowlark team, but there's also a rockfall in front of them, not quite as severe, and that rockfall has actually severed between the carts. So Amani and Yolanda are stuck in this room that is rapidly filling with dragon fire and smoke, and elderly residents trapped and tied to the cart for their own safety. They're now in a really, really precarious situation. And you see Chris and Brandon rolling hundreds of feet down the hallway from the impact. They're turning their cart back over, and they're picking up the residents and caring for them as best they can. And you see Brandon every now and then with a glow, and you'll see someone who may not have been breathing starts to breathe, or you'll see a wound slowly stitch up, but they're quickly left behind by the camera, and it comes back to Amani and Yolanda, who are in with the cart that is in a room that is just the fire is closing in on them. They're struggling to get residents free. Some of them have already been crushed under the rubble. You see them get one person each, and then somehow Yolanda gets a second one over her sort of swarthy dwarven shoulders, and slowly they make their way out and over. And when they get to the other side, like there's a bit of a gap at the top that they can clamber over the rubble to, and Yolanda just makes it. Amani seems a little bit better off. She's only able to carry one person, but she makes it up rapidly, and she's actually on her way back down just as Yolanda makes it to the other side with the people that she's carried out. And you see that Yolanda looks back hopelessly because she almost slid down and has no hope of getting back up into that room. And Amani is just a silhouette, a shadowy silhouette that disappears into the flame. And you can already see that she's starting to singe and burn in her hair and her face as she struggles back into those flames. And this is one of the sections where it stays for the longest. And there's just this long pause where it seems just hopeless that Amani's ever going to emerge, even though you only just saw him minutes ago, ever going to emerge from that inferno. And you just hear this scream of anguish and agony and hurt, and it's like a soul is being rent asunder. This female scream, and when it seems like there's no chance that anyone could possibly emerge from how heightened those flames have gotten, Amani emerges through the gap at the top of the barricade of the fallen rock and debris, and just staggers, slips, slides, ending up unconscious at the bottom next to Yolanda and the other three that they'd rescued, clutching to her chest, covered in burns, armor partly melted away and melted into her skin. Sword still in its sheath at this point in the back of her armor, but glowing with the flames, even through that sheath that appears partly burnt itself. And as the camera pans away from her, you see the lolling head that she's carrying to her chest, and keeping from harm is none other than El McGibb, who you met and took a shine to earlier, and Fokionis is clutched, barely breathing, to Amani's chest. And for the briefest moment, you see a skull logo, or like a Punisher symbol, flash over her head with a number 13 next to it before it then fades. And the montages continue, but that seeing people that you've just so recently met and seen the impact that some of this has happened, you're about done with the show. And not long after, the sign just goes black again. The screen goes black. The show's over. Then it comes up with the word safe room, and a 10-second timer is now up on the screen.
Why weren't we in that montage? That's rude.
Maybe it's better we weren't.
Maybe because we killed the cheesemonger.
Because we're not cool enough.
Yeah. Just
I
drop
mean, we
him.
didn't just kill the cheesemonger, we also stole his son.
True.
Because someone in this team is too ugly.
Hey.
Yeah, Rick.
Hey.
As you're using Huber to diffuse the intensity of what you just witnessed, and the impact that it has had on you, and you're each just dealing with it in your own way. Can I get all of you, please, to make for me a wisdom saving throw? Just make it and tell me what you rolled.
Roger that. A saving throw, yeah.
Yep, wisdom saving throw, please.
What is with me and the fucking number 7 tonight?
24.
Alias, 24.
You did say
Fokionis?
saving throw, didn't you?
3.
Yep, wisdom saving throw.
Okay, cool.
I got
What was yours?
4.
3.
I'd rather get a 1. At
And-
least I can re-roll.
And Zachary?
Zach got 4.
All right. So as you're sitting there,
No wisdom
Not,
here.
not
some of
thinking
you
very well.
handle that better than others. Fokionis appears almost catatonic, struggling to get his head around just the the scope of loss and violence and horror that he just witnessed. Zachary is not much different. He's blinking slightly more often, but the two of them have gone from your happy sparring with your swords and this light-hearted just whiplash into what you've just witnessed, and the reality is crashing in and really threatening to overcome the two of you, but you're coping with it at this stage. Alia, you're just struggling to process what you witnessed and also deal with it and reconcile it with all of these new feelings and emotions and thoughts that keep bombarding you with where your existence before would have been quite oblivious to all of this. When Ivy's left the TV on, it's not stuff that's ever impacted you before, but it's really starting to resonate more now and strike home where it possibly wouldn't before. And Ivy, surprisingly, despite the impact the previous trauma has had on you, you've really taken some deep breaths here, and with one hand firmly on Alia and the other one on Ratthew, you white knuckle rode through that show, and with the help of Margarita and your two pets, seem to be, if anything, a little bit more at peace and centered with what you're facing than what you were before, where anxiety at times threatened to overcome you. And I'll keep track of those where we're at with those roles as well. Now, as you're in that various states of dealing with what you've just witnessed and seeing the count ticker come up, and it's now mentioning that the dungeon is about to open, Mort comes down past you all and working through, like, he's got his little, what appears to be some kind of tablet, and he's tapping on things, and he goes over to a section of the wall that doesn't appear to have any different significance to any others, but he just gently stands between you guys and that section of the wall, and behind him, when that timer hits 0, a now all too familiar portal, this time this one standing upright, appears behind him, and all he was doing, it appears, is just to make sure that none of you went near it by accident or were right there when it opened. Access to Dungeon 2 is now open.
Let's go.
Wish us luck.
Good
What?
luck.
Thanks.
I'll be here when you get back.
Hi, Mort.
And he looks
Mort,
around at you
where's the
all.
safe room? In this one? No.
He looks around at you all and goes, "Do any of you need to use the bathroom one last time before you go?" And he's looking sort of meaningfully over. Is it this way? He's only seen you in the safe room enter once.
Just thinking about it. Yeah, you made me think about it now. I do. Break the seal.
Or,
Yeah, I'll probably go to the
You-
bathroom.
how did you know I did not have a good feeling stomach?
The good thing there's time for Fokionis to go and take care of business. All right,
Take
so
a dump.
Zachary, Ali,
Anything
and
to put
Fokionis.
this off an extra 5 minutes, I think.
Sorry, I cannot
To
do
be
Dungeon
honest.
level 2 on account of having bad stomach.
You're all head in. Alia, you are now aware of all of the information that's on. It's written in common. It's written in our language, and a way that you can easily process and understand. And you see the map on the wall, and where some interesting signatures. There's a Hades with an attempt at a paw print. There's a Zach. There's a Ratthew. There's some. It's clear that your teammates apparently have read and just marked off that they have seen this information, and you see Mission Mash's name. Do you add anything to the wall? I won't revisit all the contents. That's in the Discord.
Tomato sauce handprint.
It's perfect. It's next to everybody else's signatures. So you've all been heading back out. Ivy, were you revisiting at all, or are you just chilling with Ratthew?
No, just chilling with Ratthew and Mort.
All right. Your team is now assembled a portal in front of you.
Yeah. Well, Ratthew shooting could be our way of like tracking where we've been. I think.
It's like Hansel
So-
and Gretel, but different.
At least no one's gonna eat it.
Do we know that Ratthew won't?
No idea. I guess we'll find out.
Stay tuned.
All right, what are you doing, team? Rathy's still wrapped around Ivy's neck asleep. It stirred a few times during that show, but he's had a pretty traumatic little while. So he's currently catatonic the way Zachary made him initially.
I'm just gonna look at everyone,
So-
shrug my shoulders, and walk through the portal.
There's nothing else.
With that, Ali disappears from view.
Oh, I
Yeah,
normally
grab
play
a
Alia,
couple.
so I'll be following her.
Yeah, grab a couple like snacks and yeah, head through, I guess.
All right, Fokionis just heads on through. Zachary takes a moment to grab one of those green drinks that looks quite nice that Ivy had, and a burger in the other hand, and raises a glass to Mort and steps through. That leaves you, Ivy.
Deep breaths.
Goose farmer.
Before we walk through, look to more real dead serious. Bet I have a strong drink waiting for me when I get back. And then step through the portal.
You think you saw him nodding just before and about to say something before you step through. So with that, each you as you come into awareness that that familiar feeling of movement without movement is now getting quite habitual almost for you guys. Alia getting through first, closely followed through with the rest of your party. You find yourselves just in absolute pitch darkness, like not a glimmer of light. For those of you with dark sight, you can see some items highlighted almost monochrome, but even for you, and the first time you've really had to deal and use that sight, it seems as if those colors are even muted for what you would normally see in the dark. As you get your head around that, your vision is strangely far better than would have been in the real world before it fell. You do have the ability to see, and you can see some outlines of some things, not much from right where you are. You're not exactly sure of your positioning. You got some suspicions, but you're in pitch black. Some of you can see. I know, Zachary, you're just in inky blackness. You cannot see a thing.
I cast like light on my sword on the end of it.
So the rest of you, I believe, have some form of dark sight, and with
Yeah, I do.
Zachary coming through last.
doesn't, sorry.
You told me I don't, so.
Oh, don't you? Sorry, I couldn't remember if halflings did or not.
I
Okay,
do.
so
I've got dark vision to 60 feet.
I was pretty confident the two of you did. I thought halflings did. Okay, so two of you do, two of you don't. But as you come in, a couple of you, a little bit alarmed and slightly panicked, especially from what you just witnessed on the television
no, wait.
screen.
You said deep dark cave or underground passage, underground area is allowed, but a cellar will not be considered the underdark.
Yeah, I'll happily let's deal with the underdark one. Let me answer that one for you either between or next week. You don't know exactly your setup at the moment. So with that pitch darkness, Zachary, unseen by anyone but Fokionis and Ivy, who are close enough to witness this, knocks back his margarita, slides the glass into his satchel, and then lighting up his rapier that still seems muted in the darkness, but you do catch a glint of what looks like a reflection off a mirror just at the edge of that light, and that's where we're going to end it.
Oh, so I can't light my torch. Rude.
Sure, Ali lights a torch as well. He just got in first. Yeah. You're in dungeon
We
2.
made it.
Who's ready to kill more things?
Me!
We're already in Dungeon 2.
Get fireball next level.
That scares me.
What could possibly go wrong with that in an enclosed house?
In an enclosed
just like-
environment.
Yeah.
Guiding bolt.
Oh,
Oh,
gold.
no, that fireball scares
It's like,
me. Just
I'm looking forward to it.
crazy.
Your teammates, I reckon, should be scared, but I think it'll be fun.
What do I even get for next level?
I'll get fire resistance. I'm fine.
You'll get fire
You get
resistance.
fire resistance.
Well, as long as you're okay. Doesn't matter if you get like barbecued raccoon or anything else like that. And so just a logistics question, Lily, are you going live to stream? Because I'll read out to you if you are.
I was planning to, but I figured there's probably other people who should probably do that too. Because I'll
I've
only
rated
be
a
up for
bunch
like
of them,
4 hours.
There's no one online at the moment.
No, there's a couple of D&D streams that I've rated a bunch of times, so I'm more than happy to raid through to you when you're up.
I was trying to get the art stuff working to stream that since someone kept asking about it.
Me.
But the newest updates to Streamlabs isn't allowing me to use the LAN streaming so that I can, plug my thing in.
Mhm.
Because
Bugger.
it's dumb.
That's because
And
they
I-
do totally steal their thing from OBS and are behind because OBS just put out updates and then they have to reskin it for so it's
Mhm.
promise.
But
It's
I'm
just
dumb
sort
and
of
can't figure out
it's-
other ways, so.
So was that a yes or no to going live though? Just
That's a
On
yes,
that.
give me a second.
no, that's right. I just wanted to
that?
double check that. And yeah, the other elements do suck. And it is shitty when those things happen.
I'll
And it
have a
knocks the
new
gear out.
haircut next week.
What?
Ooh, that's very excitement.
Yeah, it's getting cut on Thursday.
Is it going to be all like the fancy colours, or is it a surprise?
Oh no, it's just a haircut.
Just
Just no colors.
Oh.
How much off? 10 centimeters?
A lot because I want it all the same length, so and I have an undercut that's still growing out, so
I might give myself a haircut this week too.
How could you do that if you're
yeah, man,
flowing
you get
long
rid of them
locks?
colours, it's
I'll show you how short it is underneath.
Yeah, it's still longer than mine.
Oh, there's a fucking chair in the way. Fuck's sake.
No, there was. Well, there wasn't initially.
Longer than mine?
I know what
So
you
it's
mean.
like
I've got the
super,
same.
super
I think you
short.
might have it covered at the moment, eh? At least for the short bits. The long
So,
bits she's got, yeah. Because she's got a
I'm
high
going
ponytail
to,
set up at the moment.
I'm gonna get a concave bob. So
What?
What's the. Wait,
So,
what? What is
Like
that?
a
So a
I'm glad I'm not
concave
the only one who
bob
doesn't know what
is
that is.
like really short at the back, but really long at the front.
Oh,
Nice.
okay, cool.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. It should be going.
Lily,
live
I just
in-
saw your art.
Like a
Wait, how
mullet.
quick did you do waffles, please? Holy shit.
Oh, a while back. That's what started the whole. I want to see you do art.
Yeah, because
thing.
it keeps showing up in the channel, and then I want to show it, but I don't want to show it because then people think that I did it. But it's like I didn't do it. Lily did it, and her camera's right there. Like,
Just make a little copyright down the bottom.
I'll just go Lily art interlude, and then
I reckon that might be my new background on my computer because
Yeah.
it's so damn cute.
It is very cute.
I
It is.
tried to do it with the clothing and it did not look as cute at all. It just looked dangerous.
dangerous.
All right, how big's the resolution on that? Because I reckon, yep, that's going to be the next thumbnail.
Nice.
Perfect.
Waffles, please.
I think that's going to be the episode title as well. That's just perfect.
I think we should see one where there's a raccoon like running away on top of a waffle, like it's rolling like a barrel, but it's a waffle instead.
Chasing the cheese. Chasing the
Chasing the-
cheese. But it's a waffle instead.
I like that you guys make like this tentative friendship and you fucking weirdos are licking their hands. Oh, right, Ollie, I get.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
I was joking. But, that's...
No. Did you see my other comment where I said you have to imagine the music at the same time as I'm doing it? Like,
Oh no, I missed that,
I
or I
said
would
you
have.
have to imagine the backing track of "The Look of Love" as I maintain eye contact and lick hand,
No, I didn't.
and then laugh.
And then Ivy's the only normal one. Although she
Who's an
was
Well,
alcoholic?
if there's
Won't let
only
me,
one normal person, would that
Let's see
make
how
I would
them
not count her as
not
an
normal?
alcoholic.
What? And that's Mort.
Team
Yeah,
Chaos
I
secret
don't think
handshake.
I don't think Spa saw our thumb wrestling.
No, I didn't. I was only barely paying attention to it. I was trying to figure out what the you guys were doing. So that's
Thumb
what this was.
Yeah,
I
we're thumb
see.
wrestling.
Yeah.
I see. Oh god. Oh dear. All right. Let's see. Lily's available to raid.
I should be. I've got people talking in my chat that I have to ban.
Oh, so
That you have to ban.
they're going to make you famous and give you 1 million followers and
No, they're actually kids that I work with.
right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Banhammer.
I'm not big enough for people to offer me followers.
Oh,
One
Right,
day I'll
beautiful
get
people.
enough for it.
We're going to raid out to Lily. Go hit up her channel. You'll see her artwork featured on the thumbnail for the next YouTube video. And sounds like we might get some of her live art soon when technology is her friend. But until next week, peace out. Love you all. And let's see what fucking happens next week.
More insanity is my guess.
Mine too.
oh, horror.
Functioning microphone.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad we're here at this next one.
I can't
fuck.
save that image.
Mm.
Look,
I was so looking forward to
how would
Fokionis talking to Elle. Hey, I was really looking forward to that.
The rock guy, yeah. So, yeah, I had a question. Right, you know how on our first floor we got and like Rick died, and he came back.
Mhm.
So, did the other teams not get that?
That was
Maybe they
only
were
the
just
Dreamers.
dumb.
Oh,
Not everyone was in that boat, so that was only a perk for you guys having had that dream sequence. And there were extra perks for those that actually had a winner out of the battle royale, which is what Mish alluded to.
I'm really.
Friendship one.
We forgot those manacles Rick ordered, didn't we? Like, I
think it was
remembered
after
it
a
as
while.
soon as we went through the portal. There's like probably a pile of those manacles in the
So
corner.
rope, clothes, and manacles.
Right, yeah.
Well, they were in a cabinet. Ivy did see them, behind like a little shimmering barrier with property of Rick. But that doesn't mean you couldn't have asked about them.
Do we have
Sorry.
enough would we have enough manacles to put on like a ball with tentacles or whatever?
Well,
I'm going to bed
ordered
now.
10. He ordered 10 humanoid ones.
night.
I
Bye,
apologize.
There-
I
Night,
must
Biz.
attend
The
to the
reviews
stream.
for
Thanks for the
Hogwarts
thumbnail
Legacy
inspiration.
came
Oh god.
What was that?
Hey.
Sorry,
You
Egg.
got this.
Yeah, those reviews I was talking about came out for Hogwarts Legacy. They're getting like 9s and stuff. So
Yeah, I've seen a
Should be
few streamers do some run through vids. It looks pretty insane.
Did you do the house, like log in and do their quiz to get allocated into a house so that it then follows you into the game?
on Pottermore, I did it like ages ago. But yeah, I might have to remember my login.
I don't remember what house I got into.
You get your Patronus as well, I think.
Mm.
Or your type of wand, I think. Anyway,
Yeah.
that
Has
comes.
anyone else been watching the If an Aussie Was in Hogwarts YouTube clips?
No, they've come up on my YouTube like recommended videos a few
They're
times.
rather stupid. But
But good.
humorous. I mean, it's like,
What?
yeah, okay.
What are they called?
Hang on, I'll find one.
Aussie Man Hogwarts or something like
It's
that.
not
It's kind
Aussie
of like,
Man. Yeah, it was if an Aussie
No.
was in Hogwarts.
but it seems very inspired by like Aussie Man reviews from them. I
Yeah,
did catch a
I
couple of
wonder
very
if it's
brief
the same guy. I don't know.
snippets.
If in Aussie.
Yeah, if an Aussie went to Hogwarts. Like, yeah, so he did one. He let one go today. Yeah, Aussie Bazza is the only Australian student at prestigious Hogwarts.
All right, guys. I need to bounce.
I need to fix a microphone.
Yeah.
All right.
I was
If
really
we're
looking
not-
forward to the
Oh,
the,
man.
the shiny.
It's working on everything else. It just decided not to work for video,
Right.
so I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
I'm sure you'll figure it.
We'll
I'm
see you
confident.
guys next time.
Sounds
Bye.
good.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
All right. I'll catch you. That was fun.